for Wuthering Waves standards, I don't think it hit the mark. So, well, but at the same time, you got to understand when an 8 out of 10 is not hitting the mark, you've got something crazy. Like you've got an absolute behemoth on your hands. Cool, but I can't lie to you, I was always a Fleur de Lis simp. I'm sorry. Cartefia is not my cup of tea. I'm so sorry. Oh my days. Alright, so when I completed the first quest, I swung around here and landed on this building to give my thoughts. Okay, so where does this quest rank among the Wuthering Waves quests? Well, I would say, first of all, that the best quest in the game, for me, is Encore's companion quest. That is a monster of a quest. I don't think anything will be beating that for a while. The second best quest is... I don't know it by name, but it's the one where you go to the Avalonian for the first time, meet Cartefia, and fight against the Fleur de Lis boss fight, right? Because that quest was pretty darn good. It was like almost perfect. It's just pacing issues, but that's not something the writers could do. It's like that comes as a result of the collaboration between the game designers, or the game devs, and then the writers, and also the director.
A good vantage point.
Right, and then after that, we have a weird mess of Camellia, the Black Shores quest, and Renacita 2.0's quest. But Renacita 2.0's quest is weird because I split it into sections. In Renacita, I split it up in that way. Well, the part where we meet Brant all the way to the end, that's one section to me. So ultimately, I look at the whole thing as 3 different sections. And for me, I don't rate the first one very highly. I rate the second one pretty highly. The Carlotta quest was really cool. And then the ending was great. Like, it escalates. But overall, as an average, it settles still on the high side, but there aren't many Wuthering Waves quests that I'd rate low. I would say that's an 8 if Encore's is a 10 and the weird mess of quest is a 9. So where does this quest fit in? Okay, well, first of all, if I can't think of anything to discredit you with, I give you a 10, right? Because at that point, bro, you've written a story that even I couldn't write. You're nuts. That's why Encore is up there. And I'm going to do, like, the next video I upload will definitely be on that quest. And then if there are, like, issues here and there, or I don't remember you that well, then I gotta mark you down just to try and avoid bias. And that's why I said the pacing. You know, like, the pacing was the only issue that one quest had. That scores it a 9. This quest, oh dude, I hate it. I scored part 1 a 7, and then now that it's finished, it stays a 7. Oh, I hate myself, which actually unfortunately puts it below all the other quests. My biggest issue with it isn't even pacing. There's one issue, but the issue is huge, unfortunately. And the issue is the story being told as parts was bad. And the thing is, I've written similar stories myself where you tell it in parts and tell things out of order and rely on the viewer to piece it all together, right? That's cool, but most people aren't going to do that. I'm sorry, they aren't. And in the end, it resulted in a massive exposition dump where you had to, like, speak to Lupa 3 times and then speak to Cartefia 3 times and read the book to piece everything together. I did my best to piece everything together as well. In fact, I did. I figured out exactly what happened without even having to speak to them. But even so, man, things are kind of weak, man. And unfortunately, it comes down to a matter of information dissemination. As a writer, a lot of the battle is trying to relay the correct amount of information to the reader at the right time. And when things become a mess, it just becomes hard to follow. So you just end up with massive moments like that. And unfortunately, like, that's just an inaccuracy. I feel like, obviously, they wanted to highlight certain things or another. I get it. And I'm sure they definitely weighed up the pros and cons before deciding to go about this route. I haven't thought about it too much, but it's just not something you want, man. Especially to people that like skip through dialogue or just waiting for something else to happen. Oh dear. Right? That's the first problem. And the second problem is none of the stories were fully told in the end, man. Like, we've got Mia's story, but I pieced most of it together, so none of it carried the weight that it would have contained if you just experienced Mia's story just straight away, like with no gaps or anything in between. The story of a woman who finds out that she's the Thenodian's resonator and suddenly falls victim to it and realizes, if I don't kill myself, then then Septimon's gonna fall, and then makes that sacrifice. That right there is a blockbuster story. That's amazing. But we were robbed of that, man. And then we've got Lupa's story, where it starts with her just competing, and then people talking about how, you know, people making bets, and, you know, her rebelling against her family, and we find out that her family was actually, you know, behind everything all along, right? But that story wasn't fully told either. Keep in mind, like, for the whole, like, first quest, although they tried to make, I think that was supposed to be the A plot. I think Cartethia's story and all of that's now. They were just dropping crumbs so that they could finish it all up now, right? But it really captured my attention the first time around, because I thought that was what we were supposed to focus on, right? And then things like that just end up confounding so much, because we end up seeing the Silvers get chucked out, and it was very anticlimactic, right? And in the end, I was like, oh, that's probably really weak. They need to do something more with that in part 2. And they did, but not enough, man. Not enough. I think, once again, imagine if the story was just told by itself. We find a family full of corruption that was secretly plotting against Septimon, you know, and they randomly buy a daughter from someone. I don't know. And then that daughter's an immense warrior, and then that daughter would later grow to betray them. And like, you've got to worry about how they keep the secret, and like watch how they're secretly behind the scenes controlling everything. That story on its own is flipping blockbuster, man. That story is amazing. But it wasn't fully told, because it was the main plot in some parts, and it wasn't the main plot in other parts, and it didn't have the spotlight shone on it much, man. And then we've got Cartethia's story, who we've got to look at, right? She's the Cartethia's story kind of ties into Mia's in a bit. Like, I realized that those stories are kind of told at the same time. So, whatever. We've got Cartethia's story. She finds out that she's the Leviathan's daughter as well, and she goes on a quest to stop it. She goes to Septimon, which is already been defeated. She meets Lupa, right? And then she tries to confront the Thenodian, but the Thenodian escapes. How nice. And then after that, like, it's a detective story. It's a full-on, like, detective story, like gathering clues, trying to figure out what happened, and then you realize, oh, there's stuff in the aqueduct, right? And then Lupa dies. She goes to confront, right? And then she does like 3 boss fights and meets Cristoforo, right? That right there, once again, it's blockbuster. That's an amazing, like, hero story, right? But it's not the main plot for half of it being told. Like, it's not the main plot for the majority, so you're not feeling the impact of that, right? So, oh, dude, it's heartbreaking, man. Finally, what we've got to cover is Rover's story. Rover is always very much a spectator in these things. Like, she just comes in with the clutch, like, moment at the end, right? So the exact same things happened. Rover comes trying to investigate what's happened with Cartethia, right? And then Rover meets Lupa. They start exploring. Rover's literally given nothing. No plot threads, nothing. Literally completely nothing. She doesn't solve shit, okay? And then she ends up fighting alongside Cartethia. That at least tells her she's in the right place, right? And then her plot starts with Folova properly. Villova says, here's the deal, okay? There's a story. You need to figure out how to make sure that it doesn't have the ending it's supposed to happen. In other words, you're supposed to defy destiny, right? So now it's Rover versus Destiny and trying to figure out how to overwrite Destiny. Once again, that is an amazing plot. That's gangbuster. that's flipping amazing. But in execution, all that Rover does is she shows up somewhere, scans a couple of swords, and then throws Looper into a book. And oh my days, man. The final conclusion of the quest, where Looper ends up fighting against the Thenodian, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand the significance. Why they would have Looper do it instead of anyone else. Like, even Cartefia doing it would have made more sense, because these are the Thenodian's two daughters, both of them trying to defy their fates, but one of them succeeded and the other one failed, right? That would have been like an amazing climax, you know. That would have been crazy, right? But even with Rover, it's like the Rover's got, like, the whole point of Rover is that she's trying to fight against the Lament, right? And this right here is her finally, just like Overthrax, coming face to face with the Thenodian to fight them one-on-one. Okay, Gian was there in Jinjal, but still, like, this is that climax. That's amazing. But here, Looper's there. I don't get it. I really don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, she doesn't have any connection with Mia, and they kind of like try to say, actually, it's Looper. Looper's the main character of the story all along, and this is her reclaiming her spot, right? But we don't know what the plot was like with her in it, so this doesn't have any significance, because we don't know what she's reclaiming. We just know that hypothetically she's reclaiming something, and we do learn later what the plot was supposed to be. Oh, we don't know what the unedited plot's supposed to be. Damn, dude. And once again, it's just and here's the thing. The reason why this all works despite my criticisms is because that book that they showed us, let me see if I can whip it out. Yes, this book that they showed us is doing so much heavy lifting. So much heavy lifting. It's crazy. Man, wait a minute. Oh, she died. Yeah, exactly. Wait a minute. Something new's appeared here. I didn't see this. This is completely new. What the hell? Maybe I skipped it? That's very new. And we know that this is just a plot thread leading to something new. Oh, and this is going to be part of Frolova's thing next update, but that's fine. This book is doing so much heavy lifting, right? It's doing so much heavy lifting because this is what ties it all together. If they don't give you this quest is just a mess, quite frankly. And, well, okay, it's a mess except to the chosen few that are able to figure out how everything fits together, right? But that's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask the reader to do, or the viewer to do, or the player, whatever. So, what do I rate this quest then? After all of that, damn. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay. I know this sucks. It sucks because this is an amazing quest, just in theory. It really is. It really is. But no, okay. I can't just rate it in like overall just while taking a step back, because that misses what the quest does very well. The quest's characterization, voice acting, okay, the music was off at some points. The quest characterization, voice acting, just expressiveness, just, you know, all of that stuff. That was stellar. I think it's the best we've seen from a direction and cinematography point of view, man. And the character performances, like just the characters themselves, are so memorable. Like, I highly doubt anyone's going to be forgetting Lupa after this. She was a very strong character, but Mia was also very strong, right? Cartefia, the whole story, like, she was strong from the get-go, but this just puts like extra fuel in the fire, man. Cartefia, dude, it was nuts, man. And to be honest, I'm sure, wow, this is the first time I've seen rain in this game in a very long time. So, and I'm sure, like, to a lot of people, that matters. And consider this, okay? In a gacha game, the whole, like, your top priority is to make sure characters are, done well, right? Because that's what you're selling people. Even if the story is bad, oh, come on. We know the story. The story can be absolute dog water, right? But as long as you got the characterization down, that's all good. And this quest does that in spades. So when you see characters confront each other, it's always a treasure to watch. Especially Lupa, man. She was just a standout in the quest, man. But everyone was very, very strong here. Everyone. And maybe they had Lupa face off against Mia in the end because they wanted to sell her, right? So, right, if you go a bit more granular to talk about the extreme specifics of the story, that's done better than it's ever been done, to be honest. I rate this quest an 8, which I said it was a 7, but that was me looking at it from an outside lens. I give it an 8, I think, just because even despite the flaws, the quest was still a very good play. Like, you saw me getting excited and sad and happy. Like, those weren't fake. I really enjoy playing through this. It's only when you start trying to, like, pick it apart that things don't hold up. But I do think Wuthering Waves has done better. I think they've done better in a couple different quests, man. But regardless, awesome. It's very fun. No. Where's the rain? It's over there, right? Oh, I guess the rain just stops automatically. Regardless, I think that's it. And, damn it, man. The thing is, I'm very hurt by this because I said, like, if they execute everything correct, oh, damn it. And it's in a video it was an unscripted video. Damn it. I hate it because I called this. I said they were biting off a bit more than they can chew with what was going on. But I said as long as like they're able to execute on it decently, we'll be in for a very solid story. But if they execute it very well, then it will be the best story ever told in the genre because they had all the pieces. And I even broke it down to you. That's 4 gangbuster stories being told at the same time if you're able to execute it well. And the fact I don't feel like we got that is very sad to me. But that doesn't mean it's a bad quest. I still think, like, as far as the genre goes, like, this is probably one of the best, regardless. But, like, for Wuthering Waves' standards, which is way higher than most other things, like, I rate it more harshly than I do most TV shows. For Wuthering Waves standards, I don't think it hit the mark. So, but at the same time, you got to understand, when an 8 out of 10 is not hitting the mark, you've got something crazy. Like, you've got an absolute behemoth on your hands. All right, so it's been a day or two. I can't even tell anymore. I think it's been a full 2 days since I last saw the quest, and I've been editing it since then. I've got a couple clips for a video. I'm probably gonna post my thoughts. Oh, this video will be part of my review on it. Okay, so I think I was actually kind of hurt by the way the Wuthering Waves story went down because I was expecting it to just be the best story ever. I think I set myself up for disappointment with that one, to be honest. But at the same time, I was just so confused by it that I felt like I needed to go back and make sure I haven't missed anything, you know. Normally, I do this anyway just to make sure I fully understood the story and I didn't, misunderstand anything. And I do think there was a bit of a misunderstanding in what I assumed this quest was. I'm looking through the ending specifically. So this is the part where Lupa ends up confronting the Thenodian. I haven't had a look at Mia's part again. It's just because there's a lot. I haven't looked at it too much. I was skimming through trying to capture the key points or key moments. I think what I misunderstood about the quest is I was focusing on the plot too much. And I did kind of catch that doing that kind of makes you forget or not appreciate the things that the quest does well, right? Which was its characters. And it occurred to me suddenly that all of this quest was an attempt to write stronger characters, I think. That was definitely the main focus. I talked about Cartethia's role in the plot. I never really talked about her character, you know? And I'm skimming here because, I mean, I haven't rewatched this scene yet, but I get the feeling it would have probably answered a lot of questions myself, you know? It would answer a lot of the questions that I've got regarding the quest, right? But just to focus on the characters a bit more, just so I can say this video is complete, you know? Thinking about it a bit more, I think they did a great job. In fact, I think it was the whole point of the quest, right? Trying to finish every character's character development as much as you can, and you know, just write a story based on those characters. I don't think the main plot was really the main focus at all. And with regards, like, through this new lens, it does make me look at the quest in a different way. I do still give it an 8 because at the end of the day, stories are supposed to be full packages, right? You can't just decide a story's a 10 if you only focus on this part and only focus on that part, right? But looking at it as a purely character-driven story, it's much stronger, I think, because at that point, just the context of certain scenes change, right? Cartethia's actions here, it isn't just her doing a couple boss fights to save the world, right? I mean, if you go all the way back to her quest in the Avalonium, she said that she wanted to, well, become a sword that can fight by Rover's side, which she did here, very much. They use two different continuities fighting with each other, so that part is resolved. And she also said that she just wanted to be stronger, you know, strong enough to take Rover down, right? And she showed that here. In fact, she didn't almost. She completely took over Rover's role in the story. That's why Rover didn't do much. Because realistically, the person who tends to be on the front lines, putting their body on the line to try and save everyone, that's Rover, right? The person who's going into whatever mystery and trying to solve it, that's Rover, right? But this time it was Cartethia. Almost, it's like the fulfillment of what she said before, right? And if you look at it that way, that was extremely well written for Cartethia, especially at the end. Hold on. I think, I don't remember. I think it's after the Looper quest, right? Especially at the end here, at some point. She said that she wanted to be a traveling knight. I don't know, it might take me a while to find. This is me talking about the quest. That's Looper. And there's Cartethia. Hold on. She's here. Right, this part of the quest. And I am actually getting exactly to where I'm looking for. So Cartethia says she wants to be a roving knight, and that's the exact role she played, and it's also the fulfillment of what she said she wanted to be before, right? And in that regard, Cartethia wasn't just written well, she was written extraordinarily. Like, I have no criticisms for how she's written, literally none. She did it. She did it, man. That's very, dude. It deserves a standing ovation the way they did that. It's done for Cartethia, right? And from what I've heard, she's at the Black Shores. I haven't hopped into Wuthering Waves today, so I wouldn't know. But, dude, like, you've got to take your hat. Like, I can't criticize this. This is outstanding writing for what they've done, right? And Rover, I mean, Rover has some character, but I don't think there's much worth analyzing. I suppose Rover's whole unique part here is that she put her faith in someone else. Yeah, I guess, but that's not very impressive, to be honest. I mean, awesome. But then you get to Looper and Mia, right? I remember in my review, I said something like, I don't get it. I don't see why you would have those two fight each other at the end. And I get it a bit more now. I think I was being a bit rash. I think Lupa, as a person, she embodies the will of Septimontians, right? That's the whole thing she does. Like, she kind of has a flat character arc in the sense that it doesn't develop. She comes in with strong beliefs that can't be shaken. Which is why it wasn't her. It was Mia that actually got the development. And once again, it's just not something that I really appreciated until I had a look at it again. Lupa is essentially, she serves as the vindication for Mia, right? Because Mia was kind of treated woefully by the Septimontians. She was kind of used and discarded. I think, I'm not sure if Mia was part of the Silver family. Let me see if I can find it. My editor's dying. I think it's about to crash, but yeah. So having Lupa come in there and basically be like, okay, the Thenodians saying that the way Septimontians act is foolish, right, and nothing you do matters, but actually, no, you are truly like a person from Septimon. You know, you deserve to call yourself such. You know, and if you look back at, hold on, see if I can find it. I don't want to skip. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Mia was very much othered by the Septimontians, right? And then the Thenodian basically takes control of Mia, and Mia's basically like, my viburnum. No, that was actually, well, viburnum is a flower that's given to Septimontians, or gladiators specifically, right, after they triumph. So the fact that Mia got that is kind of, it proves that she was validated by Septimon, even though it's very subtle. Like, it's something that's so easy to miss. But the fact that she got one goes to show that people actually did see her as a proper gladiator, right? And then the Thenodian basically is sitting on its throne. I can't lie, I love the Thenodian. Like, she is waifu for sure. But the Thenodian is looking down on these guys like they're foolish, right? So what Lupa's goal was, it was never to develop herself. She was supposed to challenge the idea that the Thenodian has, right? And that's exactly what she does. She comes out with her spear and basically says, nah, you're the idiot, okay? We as people have worth. Like, you don't have any right to look down on us, right? And then she goes ahead and kills the Thenodian. And then after the Thenodian disappears, well, that's the validation of just the people of Sentimont, right? And then after the Thenodian appears, hold on, disappears. I hope you can't hear this. Let's go back. So let's watch this cutscene again. Oh, who cares? Skip. Oh, there we go. Good. There we go. So Mia appears, right? So the Thenodians, I don't know if the Thenodians' influence disappears, but the point is, Mia's here. The monster that she was fighting disappears, right? And Lupa decides to challenge her to a duel. That's what this pose means. Now that actually matters because Mia's death was very undignified. In fact, it was a tragedy. It was the ending of a tragedy, to be honest, because it was almost like she was completely discarded by the Septimontians in the end, and it was so bad that she had to kill herself in, like, as sacrifice to them, because if she didn't, then the Thenodian would uppercut them into the upper stratosphere, right? But here, this is the ending that Mia should have had, right? In battle, in a gladiator's duel or something like that, right? She gets the battle she wants, and Lupa absolutely massacres her. Like, this was literally a zero diff. That sucks for Mia, but oh well. But that's much better, right? That's a much better ending than what Mia should have had, or than what Mia had originally, right? Which actually finalizes Mia's character arc very well. So with all of that in mind, this quest was much stronger than I gave it credit for. It was. which I can't look past, but at the same time, I think a lot of potential was left on the cutting room floor. But there are so many restrictions. I do wonder whether it was wise to expect that potential to be met. Because, like I said, if we're looking at it from a plot perspective, we have four blockbuster stories just ready to be unleashed, right? But if we look at it from a character perspective, I don't think they made any mistakes. Actually, I think they nailed it. Looper is a question mark to me though, because they tried. Even though I say she's a flat character, that's me being very generous to say. Because actually, they tried to give her some sort of character arc, but right at the end, and it was dialogue only, and it's like, no, 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 just don't do that. Just leave her as she is. Okay, there's not Lupus the strong gal. She doesn't need to be scared of anything. Um, yeah, yeah. From a character perspective, I don't think that story had as much potential, but whatever potential it did have, they hit it. They exceeded it. In fact, they truly nailed it. Um, but at the same time, I've got to question the scope because there was so much scope and so much potential from a plot perspective that was left on the floor. I don't know. Regardless, I want to say it's an eight, but it's a strong deserved eight. Honestly, it was it was so well done, man. It was so well done. It's just that the story was too complex in the end, which can be a good thing, but can also be a curse. And I think the curse kind of reared its head here. Yeah, that's all. Cycloid signing out.